Hey, I'm Matt. I'm here with Kirk Reed, Toronto, Canada based, The Reed Effect. How we doing today, buddy?
Good, thanks. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well. Just glad to, chat with you.
Yeah, likewise.
So, how's the weather up there?
It's great. It's really, you can see it. I got my phone, eh? Beautiful sunset.
Okay.
Um, and actually, we're just coming back from the States today. Where are you from? I recognize the southern twang.
Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, actually, we just went through Columbus a little while ago. Went through Toledo. I was in Nashville, eh?
Oh, okay.
Nashville, eh? Yeah, crazy.
Done the
I
recording,
could have
right?
swung by and just done the interview like at your place.
Right. He's done the
Yeah.
recording, right?
Sorry.
You was down in Nashville recording.
And not recording, we performed on Saturday night.
Oh, okay. How'd that
Yeah.
go?
That went great. It was part of this music summit thing. So there were some bands that came around, joined together from around the country, and agents, kind of like a mini, a music summit.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say Canadian Music Week, but but you get the idea. Yeah,
Right.
it was. Yeah, it was cool. We never played there, and I haven't been there since I was a kid, so it was great. So as I've been hearing people talk like the way you are, and I mean that as a compliment.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm hearing it again. It's like, wow, and I'm originally American. I was born and raised in Connecticut and Rhode Island, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
very,
Okay.
yeah, I'm very familiar. And I have a dual citizenship, so I'm able to kind of, I got the freedom to be able to go back and forth.
What part of Rhode Island?
Providence. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island. I lived there for 5 years. Actually, in a funeral home. We were raised in a funeral home, my brother and I. And then we moved to Connecticut.
Okay. Yeah, I got a family out in Pawtucket.
Pawtucket?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in Rhode Island.
Yep.
Oh, crazy. Oh, really? Wow.
Yep. I
I
have
haven't been there for years, but I'd like to get back there.
family in Jersey, and yeah, my dad is actually of French Canadian descent. My
Oh,
last
really?
yeah, my last name is Voisin, stands for neighbor.
Oh, okay. Crazy.
So yeah. So
Nice. So where's your dad from?
he's from Rhode Island, but his parents, I'm not exactly sure what part of Canada they were from. I just know that it was a French province. He speaks
Oh,
he's
okay.
yeah, he speaks fluent French. They did. So
So
yeah,
probably either Quebec or New Brunswick,
yeah,
one of the
yeah.
eastern side. Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah. Oh, crazy. Yeah. So yeah, I was gonna say is Pentucket close to Rhode Island, but I think every every city in Rhode Island is close to Providence since it's so small.
right. So let's talk about the new song out, Trampled Under.
Trampled under, blinded by the haze, blurry vision, lost inside a maze. Trampled under, don't remember signing up for this. Yeah.
What kind of response you get to that down in Nashville?
Yeah, great. And that was one of the songs we performed live too. Yeah, people are really digging it. We released the video just a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people are liking it. And there's 7 tracks on the album, and Trampled Under is, I'd say, the darkest and probably the heaviest, the most emotional maybe. All the rest are rockers. So
Right.
Trampled kind of stands out a little bit. I
Mhm.
would say it's probably the strongest song overall, biggest production. And so yeah, people are loving it.
So
For sure.
what was the influence for that song? What was the meaning behind it?
Okay, I'll tell you what the meaning was behind it. It kind of changed the meaning recently. But I won't get into all the details, but I was sick for a few years. I couldn't walk or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it was crazy. So the song is basically about the transition from being sick and like unwell and completely dependent on others, and then slowly making my way back out to life. Trampled under, getting back in the rat race.
Right.
That's what originally what it was about. But I don't know if you know the whole story. My brother, who helped write that song, he passed away
Hmm.
a little while ago. So now the meaning. So when I sing it and perform it, and when I listen to it, it has to do with losing my brother now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I read the press release. My condolences.
Thank you.
So the album 1973, that's how that come about. I know there's a few out there that, like 2112 and whatnot, but 1973 just seems a little random.
Yeah. And 2112 hasn't happened yet. But well, when Chris, my brother, and I were writing the song, and then Brian Fontes, our drummer, we were just kind of, a lot of the songs, like my Chris or I would come in with a riff and we just kind of improvise it a bit and I get some ideas, go back home. So there was just one jam that I was singing, riffing, and I came out, we haven't had that since 1973. So once I got that little hook, I kind of liked it and kind of built the song around that. And then, and that's going to be our next single.
Okay.
The single, there's a song called 1973 on the album. And the video is all done. And actually, Chris is in that video. That video was recorded before he left us. So that's a very special video. So I'm going to wait till the fall to release that. But anyway, so the song was basically a tribute to that era, 1973. And we're not stuck. We're not like a 70s tribute band. I want to make that clear. Like the rest of the songs are, I'd say, fairly modern, rock and roll, but
right,
in the modern sense. But the song 1973 kind of paid homage and honored the era of the early 70s with some of the best bands, in my opinion. The late 60s and early 70s, I'd say, like, it was so fresh. That kind of music, guitar, that kind of sound. And you still listen back, it's like it still sounds so amazing. But you have to put yourself in the shoes of the people that were listening to it for the first time. Probably scared the shit out of them.
Right.
Right, but in a beautiful way too. So Zeppelin, Sabbath, Deep Purple. I mean, Hendrix in the late 60s, The Doors, and then even the funk era was that early 70s. Stevie Wonder.
Right.
James Brown was all through the 60s and kind of went on and took it to the next level. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Pink Floyd. I mean, I can go on and on, but you get the idea. So I think it was a very special time in music, and especially rock and roll. So the song is based around that, and we decided to call the album 1973. And all the art, I don't know if you saw the album cover, but all the artwork we made very psychedelic and very early 70s, which I love, very colorful. My friend JC Sendoval put that together.
Nice. Yeah. So you released the album in 2021. And it just, is that like once COVID started to let up, or was it during the whole, rough time of it?
It was like towards the end of the rough time of it, because the thing is, we were originally going to release it May 1st of like 2020. And we had a gig here all set up at the Horseshoe, which is a legendary club in Toronto. And then March of 2020, everything shut down. Things got crazy. I didn't think it was going to be like this or what happened, So I said, okay, let's see what happens. So eventually we had to cancel that show, of course. And 2020 was insane. And then my producer, Ted Sedalis, great producer. You can hear the production on the album. It's incredible. Yes. All the mixing was done. And we were going to get into mastering because we were starting to hustle. We were starting to get ready. Okay, we got May 1st. That's the deadline. We have to get this ready. But then once that was let up, he was like, I got all the time in the world. I might as well go back and continue mixing. It was already sounding great. But he was like, he got into he dialed in so specifically. And he started mixing and getting obsessed. And he took months just dialing into the point, he's looking at the third track, the second 30-second bar, the beat 3, the snare isn't quite, so I mean, what else is he going to do? He's just saying he can't go anywhere. So that's why the production on this album is insane. He spent so much time on it. So then we mastered it in the fall, and then unfortunately my brother took his life October 10th. and we were supposed to release the album on October 16th. And we were still in lockdown, but we had it sitting there. We were like, okay, let's release it on social media and just start building some momentum. So by the time the lockdown ends and the pandemic settles, which it is now, like it's getting there, right?
Right.
And then we'll be ready to play live and then, release singles and all that stuff. But that obviously changed. The band didn't even exist after I lost my brother because he was like, we were really close. And the album, he's all over. So this is his final professional recording. So I'm really pushing it hard. So we decided to take a few months. I had to kind of heal a bit and, stay close to my family and close friends. So yeah, we released it as the vaccine was just coming out. Things haven't opened up yet, but we had figured like in the spring, it was the best time. May 7th, I believe, was the date. We didn't want to do it in the summer. We didn't want to wait till the fall. So we were like, okay, let's get some momentum. It's such a killer album. So we wanted to kind of get it out there. And then released the first single with Allison last June, and then the second in this past fall. And then finally the third. Now I'm taking my time with it, right? And I got 4 more after this.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm milking it. Plus, like, it's been a hit and miss with the pandemic. That we had another lockdown in January, right? So things slow down a bit. It's kind of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Yeah, but I mean, we're slowly getting through this. That's for sure. The worst is behind us, I feel.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's let up a little bit everywhere. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure. No, and the vaccine's making its rounds, and yeah, we'll get through this.
Yeah. So, like you're talking about how you're taking your time doing releases for the singles. Is there any thoughts yet on future music after this?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, it's funny. I just talked to. The thing is, when I was in the band with Chris, it was always a 3-piece. We had the drum, Chris on bass and backing vocals, and me on guitar and lead vocals. Once he left, I couldn't do a 3-piece again. His shoes are far too big and special to fill. So I got another guitarist. I'm a full-time musician, so I perform on the weekends. I play covers. I play solo. I'm in a duo. So I perform with the second guitarist now, Karen Lamont, or Miss Lamont, they call her. Because the production's so big on the album too. I need another guitarist to help me out, to fill things. And she sings great backups. I mean, we've been performing for years in the cover world. So she's a member now, and my partner Veronica sings backup vocals as well. So anyway, to get back to your question, sorry, brain fart. What did you ask me?
You're fine.
Yeah, future music. Yeah. Anyway, I was just talking to Carm last week because we have a bunch of ideas. So I said I'm starting to get that itch. I've been in promotion mode for like the last few months, just kind of and performing too. Feels good to perform again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her and I have a bunch of ideas. So I want to start developing that and hopefully have something to come out for next year. But the thing with Chris, he recorded everything, and he has a whole bunch of ideas. It'll take the rest of my life to kind of develop all his ideas. Not all, but I'll pick and choose what works. And he has a bunch of lyrics too. Like he was a writer. He was an artist. I would put him in the category of tortured artists, actually. So yeah, I have a whole. I'm really excited about that to get to dive into the lyrics but he has books and like folders. Like the last time I checked, there was notebooks like thick, like 26, at least 26, 27 full.
No, wow.
He spent his writing. Yeah. I mean, it's not all going to be used. But, a lot of it's just ideas and, lists but he was just constantly writing. So I'm excited to kind of so I'm going to continue writing it with him, really. And in the guitar, I even have 2 riffs that I remember. I don't even have to listen to that. I'm going to start working on. I'll start working on that this summer.
Right.
And then, yeah, we'll start developing. So I hope to have some new stuff by 2023.
Now, I know you were talking about how much of a gifted artist your brother was, and not no way in any kind of disrespect, but have you found somebody to replace him as a bass player yet?
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I did. Chris, he had another band called Fat Mob, and again, like once we all lost Chris, I wanted to stay really close to my family and also really close friends of Chris too, and they wanted to be close with me. because I'm the closest thing to Chris, right? So we
Right.
really bonded on a whole other level, right? Because we wanted to heal together and stay close and support each other through all that. It was traumatic, man. And it's such a shock. So we stayed close and then we started jamming. The guys from Fat Mob, the rhythm section, and another good friend that used to be in a band with. So now we have a new band, and we decided actually not long ago, just 2 or 3 months ago, that we're going to continue Fat Mob. I mean, the Reed Effect is still my priority, but we're going to take Chris's songs and we're going to perform them live. We'll probably do them at charity shows or whatever.
Okay.
So anyway, the bass player that was in Fat Mob, Matt Kilborn, he's in the Reed Effect now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So it makes sense and he fits in great. He was a great friend of Chris, loves Chris, and we get along great. And it's we have a strong lineup now.
no, that's
to
always
do
a
that.
plus. To,
Yeah,
to get along with the people you work with. And I mean, it sounds like y'all have the same kind of creative direction.
yeah, for sure. It was a blessing, man. Again, like right after Chris left, I didn't even the Reed Effect, like it didn't even exist. A few weeks later, we had this. I'm like, no, I even more than ever, I have to now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the band just started coming together. Matt, I asked Matt, and he was like, I would be honored. And he's seen us before, of course. Like we're all friends. And he fit right in. And he's driven, and he learned the side. And he like our live show is strong, and it all came together with Carm and Matt, Veronica, my partner.
Okay. So, you and your brother being, as much into music as you are and, just as creative as you are, did you grow up in a household that was, that surrounded you by music, or is this just something that, you got into in like middle school or high school? I mean, what really got you into, doing this?
Originally, we're preacher's kids, eh? And actually, my dad's right there. We
Oh,
had to,
okay.
because we're still traveling back from Nashville. Like I had to stop at a McDonald's here to get Wi-Fi so I could talk to you. In London, Ontario. So yeah, we grew up in the church, as I was mentioning. And actually, I'd say my first love of music is my dad comes from the Pentecostal church. He left that, but back then we used to go to a lot of services.
Right.
And the music was insane. Like they're very active. They're not conservative at all as far as music is concerned. It's
Right.
not like Episcopal or Catholic, like nothing. Like it's very rocking and people running all over the place, falling down. So high energy. I was like, I didn't even know what they were singing. I didn't know what the lyrics. I'm just like, man, this rocks. I don't know what it is. And as a teenager, I fell into love with Led Zeppelin. I even referred to House of the Holy in the 1973 song. And then I saw the song Remains the Same as a teenager. And that from then on, like I fell in love with the guitar. I remember that day and I haven't stopped. I haven't quit since. But I'd say the roots of my and Chris's love for music is from those church services that we went to.
Okay.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't hear that often. Most people are, like a lot of people I talk to, their dad was in a band or, they grew up to listening to like you said, Zeppelin or Hendrix or even Eddie Van Halen. And like, man, I want to be able to do that. And
yeah.
yeah,
For me, Chris, that came out more as a teenager. We listened to the Devil's music, as teenagers.
right.
But I'd say our upbringing in the church services and I learned how to sing in the junior choir. And I played piano for the chapel. And I was like 12, 13-year-old playing piano for the chapel for the little kids.
Okay.
So I started piano at age 7. So I had love for music, but it was very church oriented.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved it, and all the different styles of music. My mom was a big fan of Elvis as well.
Gotcha.
So that rock and roll really spoke to me. But yeah, like I know it's a little bit different than most people when they talk Hendrix, but that all hit us. Like Hendrix is a huge influence, but it was more as teenagers, like mid-teens. Then you start hearing that. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
this is so good. And we haven't stopped playing.
Well, I mean, you got a couple of bands up there that, I fell in love with, loved Rush,
Yeah,
Triumph.
2112. Yeah, Rick Emmett. I've seen
Yeah.
Rick Emmett before. Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the classic stuff. Neil Young. I'm a big Neil Young fan too.
Hmm.
Although we're heavier, but
Yeah.
I cover a lot of Neil Young in my solo, like old man, take a look,
Right.
and all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I just always, I loved music from my childhood. I mean, I Journey, Boston,
Nice,
those were some of the earlier songs I got into. I grew up on like Pat Benatar and Duran Duran and bands like that. But
nice.
then, you know, started getting into, broadening my horizons. So, started listening to Metallica, Kiss, stuff like that. And I just,
Yeah, yeah.
ever
Likewise.
since, man, it's just been, I try to check out all kinds of new stuff. I mean, there's some songs that I'm like, when when the opening of it, and I'm like, and then they get into it, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this isn't bad, but
Right,
that's somebody else's creation, and I don't have no right to put it down. I mean,
right. You want to at least give it a chance.
right,
Yeah,
and I
for
mean
sure.
that's like with all these interviews that I'm doing, 98% of them are independent. They're not under
Right,
a label. Guys that have been at it for a while, or guys that are just starting, trying to get out there and make a name
right.
for themselves and have a good time, and express their creativity. And I'm 100% for that. That's why I do these interviews. I mean, I'm not making any
Nice.
money doing this or anything. I just like
Right.
right. I just like talking to musicians, and I like offering my support by saying, hey, here's this guy I did an interview with, and this is a little bit about his band, a little bit about his music, and then we just bullshit a little bit. I mean, it's been great. I mean, I've had, man, I'm gonna tell you, probably 30 in the last month, and I hadn't done any in like a year.
Oh,
I kind
yeah.
of took a break from it, and then all of a sudden, I did one with a band here in Columbus that another publicist I worked with represents. And, the bass player was like, man, that was a great interview. I'll let the publicist know, and she'll, probably be getting a hold of you. And she did. And then it started lining up, man. And I'm just like, wow, so, and it's been great. I mean, and that's what I'm saying is it's nice to talk to people that, are from all different walks of life, all different backgrounds, and, and it it's called, my website is Rock Music and More, but the "and more" is
Nice.
because I'm trying to get into country and hip hop and whatever. I mean, my primary knowledge is rock, metal, whatever, but
Right. Nice.
I'm the kind of
Yeah, you don't
person
want
that,
to live here.
right, and I'm the kind of person that, like, I'll read a book and I'm like, man, what the hell was that book about? But I hear a song and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. And, I can just, for some reason, my mind is a sponge when it comes to that stuff. So
Nice. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
it's nice to, be able to talk to people. I mean, you guys, I think that you're doing an awesome job, and, I'm looking forward to hearing the new single. I mean, I listened to, Rise Up and Fine Here.
Oh
Um,
yeah, nice, cool.
yeah, I mean, when I get the press releases, I check you all out and everything, hit the YouTube and Google and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff. So, because I mean, I don't want to come into it
nice.
dumb, like, hey, just, tell me all about yourself. You talk and I'll listen.
Yeah, and then what do you sound like? I know. I'll listen to the song while you're talking.
Right. I mean, you don't get too many interviews when you don't ask, questions. So,
Yeah, exactly. Interactive for sure.
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, and especially coming from the other side of the pandemic in a way, like we're in a bit of a transitional phase, but it is a COVID world, but it's not as, the vaccines making its rounds, and it's not like it was, a year or a year and a half ago. That was insane, especially
Right.
up here. But yeah, and I think part of the reason that your interviews are exploding now because we're finally able to play live a bit, so there's a lot of bands, and I'm really, they playing live, man, it's such a joy. It's for me, it's like food or like breathing. I need to have that outlet and not have it for a while. I mean, I made use of my time, I did what I had to do in promoting and all that stuff and created things. But now that, you have a lot of bands you've been talking to, and it's springtime and people are playing, they're promoting their new stuff. People have been writing while they're in the pandemic, right? So they got all this new stuff.
Right.
And I'm really hoping that there's a post pandemic kind of resurgence of love for live music, whether it's rock and roll. I mean, I'm a rocker. I'm always good, but I mean, I love all styles. I listen to jazz all the time. I love classical, some hip hop, and country. I've been listening to tons of country the last week. It's insane, but I'm really digging it.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really hoping that there is going to be kind of a shift in that sense of, people love live music, and I think being deprived of it for a little while, there'll be a new love for it.
Oh yeah, it was
a reminder of how cool it is.
It was pretty horrible, man. I mean, I belong to a lot of music groups and fan pages or whatever, and through the entire pandemic, that's all you've seen is, oh my God, I need a concert. Oh my God, it was like they were they were geeks for crack or something. They're like, man, I got to get my fix. And when they started opening up concerts here in Ohio, that was one of the things that was kind of mentioned was, people need live music right now to heal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And it's not just for the bands, not just for the fans, but for the bands, for the the road crew, for the, everybody that's associated with it,
Yeah, I know, it's a whole machine.
Right. I mean, and so Columbus is, I don't know if it's a big metal town, big rock town.
Oh,
yeah. We get a lot of music through here, and it's it was hard here when everything kind of fell apart, and it was just like when things started opening back up. I mean, people were like, okay, I'm gonna go get vaccinated even though they didn't want to before, or I'm gonna go get a test, or I'm gonna wear a mask, whatever. I just want to see a damn show.
Yeah, exactly. Feel life. It's life. Yeah, there's something about it it's for me, and for a lot of people. There's nothing like it, live music. And I'm not against DJ. I'm not against going to the movies or anything like that. I'm for it all, but there's something special about a band performing and people living. There's something beautiful and somewhat unique about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the energy, effort, and just the raw. I think I'm going to go with human emotion, because I mean, you got people that can, that are just jumping around being happy. Then you got other people that, they may listen to a song and they tear up a little bit, it just, I mean, that's
them in some way. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, that's what you guys do. And that's what's, so admirable, is that, you take your God-given talent and, you go out and you perform for, thousands of strangers. And, I can't imagine the reward that you must feel when you've got a crowd, of, let's just say, a couple thousand people singing your song right back to you.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. Yeah,
I bet.
There's nothing. Yeah, it's again, and as an artist and performer, it's kind of like food. Of course, I never take it for granted. Like, when there's people enjoying, I'm getting joy because they're getting joy, right?
Right.
Or they're getting some kind of evoking some type of emotion. Like you said, whether it's a celebration of life. I mean, what better way than live music? It's that you have to move, man, or you have to sing along or whatever. The vibration is permeating the whole room. The band and the people. And you were talking about healing with the band and whether it's the whole crew or the manager, the producer, and all this, but it's also the listener, the audience.
Right.
For many people, it's a big part of the joy of life is to go to a live show, like a good, proper live show. That it's very spontaneous, and yeah, it's connecting to, and if you're tearing up too, you need to have to let that out too. It's cathartic
Right.
and releasing, you know, it's venting. You have to let it out, man.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it's just, great to go with a group of friends and, just party, freaking.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
what,
know.
what, what party, what party have you ever been to that didn't have music? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Exactly. I know any kind of music recorded and then especially live, that just takes it to a whole other level. You
right.
know, it's happening in the moment. You don't know what's going to happen really next. It's exciting. But recorded music, any kind of music. Yeah, I know. Like what
Right. All right, Kirk. Well, I know that you're trying to get back home and I will let you do that. I appreciate your time and I will look forward to 1973 coming out. I am going to go ahead and get this edited and up on YouTube, and I'll send it to Allison, and she can send it on over your way.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, it was a pleasure, Matt. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'll look out for that and I'll share it and tag you and do all the social media stuff.
Awesome, brother. Well, you be safe getting home, and thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
All
We'll chat
right.
soon, brother. Take care.
Bye.
Okay.